NHSS. So you're not being steered to inferior care. Though I will say my brother's hip replacement at this little regional hospital in northern Maine was incredible. He was up and out of the hospital after a hip replacement in 8 days. He had the hip replaced in April. By the end of June, he was playing golf again. Now he's got 2 knees that lock up from too many years of being a chef and trying to find a job where he can sit down. But he's ready to go back to this surgeon if he has to for knee replacements, and the care he got there, I'll match it any hospital in the city. And to thank them, he made them all pizza the last night he was there. So this is the city coverage. For those, anybody like me, pre-Medicare? Okay, this is for you. It's called 1M64. One of the best concert reviews I ever saw was of a Billy Joel concert. And his quote after playing 1M64 was, "It's the last time I can play that, because next concert I'll be 65. But, you know, many years ago people said, "Doug, you got to write all this stuff down." So I did. I heard 1M64 on the classic rock station on the way to church one Sunday, and that afternoon I wrote it. We had our communication staff dress it up nice. And a little bit of trivia. What are they looking at? You know, I mean, it's Sgt. Pepper. Right. The original version of the cover, which I have framed in my office, has the words to 1M64 in light gray in the background. And so I took it home, showed my wife as I was walking out the door, and said, "Look at this, isn't this wonderful?" I was on my way out to California, I think, for a trip. She looked at it and her first thought was, "You have the rights to use the words." Oops. So, as it turned out, Sony owned the Beatles catalog at that time. They didn't give Beatles words or anything away for free to anybody. Said, "Look, we're a non-profit, we've got here 500 copies." It would have been like $1,000, $1,500 a year just to have the words on the cover. So we went back and came up with this one. The other one we looked at was a couple on their wedding day, like line drawings with Cajun bubbles. One of them said, "Will you still need me?" And the other said, "Will you still feed me?" So I've got to find that one so I have the complete set. But what this does is explains Medicare. We'll be talking about this next Wednesday at the session. Explains Medicare, what to go through, how it ties in. The big thing and the most important thing with Medicare is that because you're a City of New York retiree, the city reimburses you and your eligible dependents every penny you pay for Medicare Part B. So you know, it's a shock, right? You know, you sign up for Medicare and you say, "Okay, I'm on Medicare, great, blah, blah, blah." And then you get the first letter that says, "We've accepted your application." You got the next one that says, "Okay, the amount everybody pays for Medicare is $134 a month." Okay. And then they hit you with the Irma letter. You know, and it's like, who the hell is Irma and why am I paying her money? Supreme Court nominations notwithstanding, but why am I paying Irma all this money? Well, the Irma is income-related Medicare adjustment amount. And what the federal government did starting back in 2005, I believe, was say that if people made over a certain amount of money, they would pay more for Medicare Part B. Under statute, the participant is supposed to pay about 25% of the cost. But as Medicare costs went up, as we all get older, they're saying, "Oh my God, what are we got to do? We'll give tax breaks to everybody, now how are we got to pay for Medicare?" Well, we've got to pay for Medicare by making those who are rich pay a little bit more. So you've got the sheet here I use, I put in the CSA News every year. This is the 2018 figures. I do not have 2019 yet. They should be available any day, hopefully by next Wednesday. But if your adjusted income as an individual is over $85,000, the federal government says you're rich. If you file a joint tax return with a spouse and your income's over $70,000, you're rich. There is no regional adjustment to determine who's rich. If you're living in the Midwest, you're living in Michigan like I did at one point, if you make $85,000, you're beyond rich. You know, if you make over $170,000, you know, you're top 1%. In New York, you're middle of the road. When I first came to New York 35 years ago, I read something that said the cost of living in the New York City area was 67% higher than the average. It's now 100% higher than the average. So because of where we are, that doesn't make a difference. The government says if you have more than that, and you see the schedule of how much more you pay. It's called IRMA, Income Related Medicare Adjustment Amount. So every year, the government goes back and recalculates this. So for 2018, they look at your 2016 tax returns. So if you retired in 2016, took a lump sum distribution for all the car money, guess what? You're rich for 2018. If you sold the Brooklyn Brownstone in 2016 for $1.2 million that you bought for $100,000 40 years ago, you're rich. So they will jack up your IRMA for 2 years down the road. They can't look at 2017 taxes because they haven't done them yet when they're calculating this in November for 2018. So they go back a year when theoretically everybody's got their taxes done. The beauty is that it's not forever. So when they go back and recalculate for 2019, they look at the 2017. And if you're not a real estate mogul and have another Brooklyn Brownstone to sell, that income is not seen, and you're just down to the pension, TDA, and investment income. So you may still be IRMA, but you're not going to be at the top. So it fluctuates every year. If there's some life-altering thing that happened, you can go and appeal to Social Security for IRMA and say, no, you're billing me too much. Not very successful, not very often, but it's worth a try. I've seen a couple who have had that done. So what happens is, by submitting a copy of your Medicare card, the city automatically sends you the standard amount in April. So in April of 2018, if you had submitted your Medicare card to the city, you got in your account that you get your pension deposited to, if you do. Otherwise, you would have gotten a paper check. You would have gotten the standard amount as they figured it for 2017. People who didn't qualify for IRMA paid generally $109 in 2017. So it was 109 times 12 is 13 whatever, and that's what you got. At that point, you say, okay, I want my IRMA. So IRMA requires the letter from the beginning of the year that told you what you were going to pay, and the 1099 at the end of the year. We've got the application here, their new application. This is for 2017, and the second page, at the back of the first page. My daughters are environmentalists, so I have to use two-sided copies whenever I can. Otherwise, they hate me. So you need a copy of your 1099 from Social Security. So you would have gotten the 2017 1099 in January of 18. You also need the letter that you got in November of 2016 that told you what you were going to pay in 2017. This, for some reason, is very difficult. You ran 4,000 student high schools. You budgeted millions of dollars. You didn't lose a kid on the bus or anywhere. But letter from 16, form from 17, to send to Doug at 18. So for some reason, this is difficult. Okay? So we have fun with this now because, we can. So what happens is, the new form here, they didn't used to have this. This is brand new at 17. So and I already found out they're just changing the years at the top. So we'll get this out here in the beginning of January of next year. Now you send this in. Now you're going to send it, fill it out, sign it, send the documents, send them to me. Do not send them to the city. Send them to me. Because Chrissy in the back is very good at detecting what's correct and what's wrong. So if you get a letter from Chrissy, that's worse than being called to the principal's office. Yeah, so you go, if Chrissy says you sent the wrong letter, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You know, I feel the same way. She said, why'd you do this? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But you'll send in the letter before the year began, the 1099 at the end, a copy of the form that you've signed. Once it passes muster with Christy, she gives it to me. We scan them, log them into a spreadsheet, and we take them downstairs. The woman who processes 11,000, 10,000 IRMA applications loves us. Because when we bring them down, she can just record them. She knows they're fine. When we brought down 650 in the first batch this year, after she got up off the floor, she said, thank you. Because I think maybe 3 out of the 650 came back, and they were because it should have been under a spouse that we didn't realize. But I'd rather do that now, when we can say, Chrissy can say, what's wrong with you? Don't you understand for the 4th year in a row? It's the letter and the form or whatever. I'd rather do it before, at the beginning of the year, because guess what's going to happen this month? Anybody who submitted an IRMA application that we took down by the end of September will get a deposit in their account this month. You'll get it probably, if I had to bet, and I can't bet because I'm being broadcast, and I don't anyway, I've learned my lesson. If I had to bet, I would say it would be the 3rd Friday. So I know that when I wake up on whatever Friday it is, one person in particular will have emailed me and told me he got his IRMA. I'm checking my phone at 6:30 in the morning and he's already emailed me to tell me he got his money. So the money will come then. If you didn't send it in yet, don't worry, you didn't miss it, you got 3 years to do it. But the big bulk is done now in the same year.